Hi YouTube, Shadow King Nasru, and today we're here to talk about a few things, particularly the Thor Love and Thunder situation, as well as the reception towards uh, Netflix's Resident Evil. So let's start with Thor Love and Thunder. So it just released, like a week or so ago, and it's so far it's tracking lower than expectations. I'm not ready to call it a flop in the box office, but it's not doing that well. Uh, we're still at the point where people are still praising the MCU with social media and the access media and all that, because you gotta kiss Marvel's butt just to get all these exclusive invitations and all that, reap the benefits. Yeah, and all it does is sacrifice your integrity and question your intelligence. But yeah, most of the real people who have more integrity are saying that it's not a good movie. Uh, it's very there's a lot of tonal whiplash between the comedy and what should be taken seriously, and I can buy that because I was like I've said many times I am not a fan of Thor Ragnarok. I think that Thor 1 and 2 were better Thor films, even though Thor 2 definitely does have its problems. Um, and when I was watching some of these things from Thor Ragnarok, one of the things that irked me, aside from it hijacking Planet Hulk, and yes, I'm still not over that. That is one of the best Hulk storylines out there, and I cannot, and it still bothers me that they they hijacked that story and will never get a proper adaptation of the Planet Hulk and World War Hulk storyline. What, but aside from that, what really irked me was the comedy. The things were treated so much like a joke. I mean, I know it's the MCU's thing to have a bit of comedy here and then, even though it's gotten rather stale of late. But it's when it's so bombarded and it's done in scenes where it shouldn't be, then I just you're just shutting down my engagement. And while I'm hearing Thor: Love and Thunder is that and cranked up to 100. So yeah, I'm not doing that. The only good thing what I'm really hearing is that Christian Bale's performance, anything good coming from this movie is coming from Christian Bale. The CGI is not all that great. Um, Tessa Thompson is well, she's never been that great to begin with, and people only like her Valkyrie because, well, diversity. Even though she's not that great of an actress, and she kind of looks like she doesn't even want to be there. um, Now, before anybody tries to start to call me a homophobe or anything, um, let's say like, oh, you must also have a problem with Korg being gay, and like, no, no, I don't, because I mean, aside from religious religious reasons, I don't really have a problem with Korg being gay because I've actually read the Incredible Hulk comics. Yes, and Korg is a Hulk character. He's actually more related to the Hulk than Thor, if anything, and he's considered as warbound, like a brother in arms. And in the comics, Korg was in a homosexual relationship with I forgot what the character's name was, but he was of the same race as Kyera, Hulk's third wife. Yeah, one of the old strong, I think that's what they were called. But yeah, they were in a relationship, and that and I said pretty much whatever about that. So yeah, nobody can call me a homophobe or anything. My problem is that the comedy and it definitely feels like Taika Waititi is stroking his ego, and the fact that he's antagonizing the fans a bit well before this movie came out wasn't exactly a good putting your best foot forward. And you figured he would learn not to do that after the. No, wait, he did that before Lightyear flopped. But yeah, that was also another Disney property that's not doing too well in the box office, if practically flatlined. But let's see how let's see what Thor 4's box office is doing. Okay, so far it has fallen 68% on its second weekend. And let's see, how much has it made thus far? I'm trying to. So it's getting close to about 500 million, which is putting it a little bit around Doctor Strange, the Doctor Strange range. Doctor Strange 2: Multiverse of Madness, which is, from what I've heard, was not a great movie either. Um, but it's definitely falling under expectations, especially during its original weekend. So it's going to have to make well over $600 million just to break even before it can even start talking about making a profit. And Marvel movies, I mean, at this stage in the game, they're not here to break even or barely make a profit. They're here to make huge bucks. So this is still underperforming, and Disney's going to have to do some course correcting if they want to eat Marvel. Then again, I don't care all that much because I pretty much checked out with the MCU. I'm pretty much done with it. Uh, I'm only talking about this because Thor was one of the few Marvel characters that I actually still cared about to a certain degree, and I've wondered if everybody was just going to eat this up despite it being, despite my issues with Thor Ragnarok, and despite the fact that this uh, movie is adapting the terrible Jane Foster Thor storyline. But anyway, it's not doing well. MCU fans are, well, honestly, they're making a lot of things, funny stuff right here. Aside from making all the excuses of why it's not performing as well, or even a few of them on Twitter saying that they need a trigger warning because they have the scene where they talk about Jane Foster having stage 4 cancer. Like, really? You need a trigger warning for cancer? I've had family members that have died from cancer. Tragic stuff. Uh, wouldn't want it to happen to anyone. But to say you need a trigger warning for that, there's been worse things that have happened in the MCU. You're seeing people get impaled, get blasted into oblivion, get snapped out of existence. Yet you need a trigger warning. You even see Thanos get beheaded by Thor in a different timeline. Yet you need a trigger warning for someone saying that they have stage 4 cancer? Grow a thicker skin. You're making yourself look weak. But yeah, I think I've talked enough about I mean, not Thor Rag, Thor Love and Thunder. It's just stupid. From that, the low box office, the people being disappointed and underperforming. I could also talk about how they wasted the Guardians of Mediocrity, but I don't really care about those characters since I gave them that title. So whatever. Let's move on to Netflix's Resident Evil. Now, as we all as I've been saying for months, that this Netflix adaptation was going to be dead on arrival. It was going to receive huge backlash from the real Resident Evil fans. Lo and behold, it has. People started comparing it to a CW show. People were saying that it doesn't make sense from the lore of the Resident Evil series, despite the fact that I forget where, but I think some of the people making the show said that it was supposed to be in this that the games or canonical to this show, yeah, that makes sense. I have the white Albert Wesker who has full of blonde hair, and we last saw him uh, being in a volcano and shot with a rocket with two rocket launchers. Yeah, yeah. Somehow he's back in between 2022 and the future of 2036, and now he's bald and black. Apparently, you can change your skin when you've been inside a volcano. I'm sure that would solve a lot of racial disparities in the world. But yeah, real talk. The the show is not being received well. People are downvoting it because they know that this is just more SJW garbage. That just a cash grab on an established property, and it didn't have to be this way. All you have to do is just take the source material that's already done for you. Resident Evil can work in a film or TV setting, better in a TV / streaming setting, because you can expand more on the story that you couldn't tell in like a 2 to 3 hour movie, and develop these characters, develop the world building, so on and so forth. It's already done for you. All you have to do is just take what works, what will work in that form of media, and put that in the set media, and what only works in the games, just keep in the games. But no, we gotta race swap Wesker, gotta race swap Jill Valentine, gotta race swap Leon S. Kennedy and make him a stereotypical lazy Mexican or whatever Latino ethnicity the actor was, which is downright insulting in hindsight. I don't know if the director of Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City uh, intentionally did that or not, but if he didn't, that's still in bad taste. But I digress. Uh, for the clips we've seen, it does not make sense. It does not make sense from an adaptation standpoint. There's no way it could be in the same line as the games from Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 8. Uh, they also tried to make Wesker a father figure, despite the fact that he is not known for being the best father, especially by his son what his son said in Resident Evil 6. And based on what I've heard from people who've bothered to watch uh, the episodes, the girls who are supposed to be the daughters of Wesker, they're not exactly likable. They tend to be arrogant, confrontational, uh, tend to argue with their parents. I mean, yeah, I think if this was the real Wesker, he wouldn't be putting up with this. He would he would have killed them, or put them down for an experiment and subjugated them to being like bioweapons. That was what the real Wesker would have done. But no, apparently he's to be the good dad who just has that dark secret and whatnot. Let's see. Is there anything else I could talk about this awful show? Um, I mean, I don't want to. I mean, there's not much I could talk about without going to spoilers, and I feel like if you still want to watch it, if it just go on Netflix and. But I don't think it's worth the effort. But all in all, this show is not good. And it's, like I've said many times before, Resident Evil has had a lot of chances to get adapted and show just how great this game is to the movie or streaming audience and get a better following. But time and time again, Sony and Constantine Films have fumbled that football. They did it with the Resident Alice movies. They did it with Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City, and now they're doing it with this Netflix show. At this point, even if we get a good adaptation, a faithful adaptation of the Resident Evil games, chances are people aren't going to care. or not as care as much as they should because of the bad reception that we've had from the previous versions. It's just gonna be solid. It's kind of like with Game of Thrones. Uh, After like seasons 5 through 8, we've had such a bad reception. That if we had any, I mean, that any addition that to this universe would just be a solid repetition because what came before being so bad, or with the like Disney canon Star Wars. Disney has handled Star Wars so poorly with the sequel trilogy, uh, Book of Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan Kenobi that people has began to care less and less about Star Wars. The brand name doesn't have as much power as it did roughly 10 years ago, back when it was still run by George Lucas and still had some dignity and respect to it. Uh, it's kind of sad that we can't get good things from these properties anymore. Maybe, maybe it's time we try to create our own entertainment and build something from the ashes of these once great properties. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'll catch you mortals later.